What's going on YouTube? Welcome to iStuff Gaming, and today I'm going to be giving you a character guide on Chulain. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep up with any of my future content, or would like to watch me live on Twitch, I'll be leaving those in the description below. Now, this character is absolutely freaking ridiculous. I honestly don't understand how people can look at this character and be like, oh, he's mid-tier. I just don't. He does insane damage. He is an amazing solo laner. He can be flexed in the jungle. He has a power boosting ultimate, or a transformation, which I'll get to in a second. And he's overall just really, really amazing. And he has a lot of team fight. And his team fighting is so good. So before we get into his best builds, we're gonna go over his abilities and his passive. So to understand this character, you need to understand two things. One, this character has essentially 6 abilities. Technically it's 5 because his second ability becomes a passive, but let's say 6. So, to break this character down, I'm going to be going over all of his abilities while he's in this state, and then I'm going to be going over his abilities while he's transformed. So, his passive is known as Berserk. As you can see, Chulain does not have a mana bar. Instead, all of his mana, MP5, and mana heals are applied to his health pool. Abilities consume Rage, which stops regen at 25, but he gains Rage upon hitting his abilities, as well as 1 Rage for basic attacks and 0.5 Rage when he or allies take damage. So he can build Rage really, really fast. After 3 seconds above 85, he goes Berserk. While Berserk, Chulain gains power and a health shield. Now, this health conversion is 20% of mana. It lasts for 20 seconds. And then he gets 10 plus 20 health per level. And then he gets a bonus 3 power per level. So once he hits level 20, he gets an extra 60 power when he transforms. So it's a lot. And you can see why it's going to be a lot because of how much damage his ultimate will do. But we'll get to that in a moment. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like when he transforms. Alright, so as you can see, my rage meter below my health pool is at 84. When I basic attack, the gauge on the left will fill up, and then once it fills, you transform, and you get a whole new slew of abilities. We'll get into what that tick damage is in a moment, but as you can see, this is what his transformation looks like. Really straightforward, but this transformation completely changes his game and how his character works. Alright, so like I said before, I'm going to be going over all of his abilities separately. One in his basic form and one in his transformed state. So now, his first ability in his normal form is known as Barbed Spear. He will thrust his spear forward, damaging all enemies in front of him and stunning less powerful minions. This will restore 5 rage, 8 rage for a god for every minion or enemy god hit to a max of 18. And then the barbs from this ability will reduce their healing for 4 seconds. So, this ability is pretty wide. It's a pretty generous ability. This is going to be one of your go-tos for damage in this form. The other two we'll get into a moment about if their utility. So, let me go see what this looks like. As you see, it goes pretty far, and as you can see, he has a heal debuff. Pretty straightforward. Up next, for Chulain's abilities, we have Vent Anger, for second ability. Chulain vents his anger as superheated steam, increasing his movement speed and draining his rage. Every 0.5 seconds while in this state, all enemies within range are damaged by the heat. Vent Anger does not return rage. Very important to know. So this ability is good for when you don't want to transform quite yet, and you want to save it, or you just want to get that little bit of tick damage to chase down an opponent, but you really don't want to be spamming this too much. You want to transform as much as possible. So let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. See? That's a pretty wide radius. But as you can see as well, my rage is not going up unless I start attacking or I start getting attacked. Up next, we have Salmon's Leap. Chulain vaults over his spear, leaping to a target location, slamming it down to damage enemies around and in front of him. Successfully hitting an enemy minion with his ability restores 5 rage, 8 for a god to a max of 18. So, this move is really, really unique. Because, while Chulain is leaping, which it doesn't mention for some god-awful reason, he is completely immune to damage. So, if you know or you dealt with this character before, you'll see him leap over some ults like a Pokken ult, or see him leaping over like your slam down with Bologna, or anything in general. It can dodge a lot of abilities if you have good timing. So let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. So here's the AoE for it. As you can see, it doesn't go tremendously far because this character just doesn't really want to run away from you, but it can get the job done, and it can also cover a lot of distance. Next, for his ultimate ability, his fourth ability while in normal state, Spear of Mortal Pain. Chulain swings his spear, I have no idea how to say that, in a circle around him, damaging and knocking up all enemies. Successfully hitting an enemy minion with this ability restores 10 rage, while for an enemy god is 26 to a max of 36. This is the Chulain staple. This is what's going to have you transform and be useful in these team fights. Let me show you. This has a huge AoE around him. Huge. And he can hit multiple people at once. He can hit all 5 people if they're this grouped up. And if you hit all 5 people, you're essentially going to transform. Let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. Oh wow, I guess that must have changed. Up next, we're going to talk about Chulain's fourth ability, his ultimate ability while he's in the normal state. Spear of Mortal Pain. Chulain swings his spear, I have no idea how to say that, in a circle around him, damaging and knocking up all enemies. Successfully hitting an enemy minion with this ability restores 10 rage, 26 for a god, and it is a max of 36 rage you can engage from using this ability. Knowing when to use this ability is very important. It's a very good ultimate, engaging ultimate, because this will help you transform early in those team fights, getting all that extra juicy damage. Let me go ahead and show you what this looks like. This AoE is absolutely humongous. You can hit all 5 enemy gods if you place yourself correctly. And you can also keep moving slightly forward while using this ability. So this ultimate can essentially hit everybody in a team fight. This is a good team fight changer because no one's going to get beats against this character for a knockup. Let me go ahead and show you what. See? And as you see, I got a huge chunk of rage from that. So knowing when to use this ability is really good, and it can also be the difference between you transforming late or transforming early in a team fight. Alright, so for Chulain's first ability, while he's in transformed state, he will slam his hands into the ground, damaging and rooting all enemies in front of him. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So if he goes this way, I slam, he's rooted. Up next, we're going to be talking about Chulain's second ability, or now his passive. While he's in Berserk form, Chulain's vents anger vents automatically and does not drain rage. So he will always have this tick damage out while he is in a transformed state. So this will do massive amounts. This will help his damage output tremendously. Up next, we're going to be talking about his third ability. Instead, Chulain will charge foreigners, stunning and driving all enemies back with him. So let me go and show you what this looks like. As you can see, when he's transformed, he has a lot of CC. And then finally, we have War Cry. Chulain instead gives a terrifying yell, damaging all enemies and causing them to tremble. This does so much damage, and it has the same AoE as his original. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. It is a huge AoE, and this move will do a lot of damage. It's a really good kill confirm, really good engage tool. All around, this character has a lot to offer with it. Alright, now after all that information, now you're probably going to want to know, what are his best items? Well, this character has a lot. Now, because he can't build mana, he can't benefit from a lot of mana-giving cards. However, there are a few that he does get maximum benefit out of. For example, Sledge. This will give him 300 health, 40 physical power, and 20% crowd control reduction. This is really good for him. And plus, it gives that 150 mana will be converted to his health, so he'll actually get more health out of this item with this amazing passive. So that's a really strong item for him. Another good item for him, what you really want to be building on this character is something that will give him health and some pseudo tank, some damage. He wants a good amount of damage while also sporting a lot of tankiness. So Void Shield is really good because it gives him health, protections, power, and reduces enemies' physical protections. Runic Shield, really good for him because it gives him power reduces magical damage and gives him health with some health, good amount of protections. Now, Praedwin is an amazing item on him. I'd recommend building this card on him almost all the time because his character has 2 ults, so he won't get double the procs from Praedwin, but he'll always have something to use Praedwin with, if that makes sense. And gaining the extra health shield while you're in the base form, and then transforming to get that extra health shield is really, really good. Plus, it gives him cooldowns, letting him spam abilities a lot more. Now, I will say this, Mystic Mail is a good item on him, because if you pair this with Vent Anger, he will get a lot of dot damage out. However, Mystical Mail is not that amazing of an item. Yes, it can help you with DPS, but you don't really need it. However, whatever floats your boat, if you like Mystical Mail on him, I'd recommend building it. He's probably the only character in the game, besides Ares, who can really get a lot of use out of Mystic Mail. If you're looking for another damage item, there's 2 items I would always recommend. 1, Heartseeker. He has 5 abilities. There's no reason for you not to build a Heartseeker if you're looking for that little bit of extra damage. And on that same note, I'd also recommend building a Crusher, because he has 5 abilities, so you'll get a lot of procs from the Crusher. So, another good item to put on him. Glad Shield is okay. The recent changes with it, not really a lot of people are using it. However, this character can get you down below 50% health pretty quickly, and this also gives him tankiness and health and cooldown reduction. So, if you're looking for that little bit of extra damage with a little bit of extra physical protection, Glad Shield could be a good go-to card for you. However, you have Void Shield, you really don't need the extra damage, but this will help with your damage out. Another item that I would recommend building is a Stun of Gaia. Whenever you're hit with a knockback or a grab or a pull, anything along those lines, you'll regain a set amount of your health, and it gives an amazing amount of health on this character. And what you want in this character is something that can boost his health a lot, because he wants to be tanky enough to transform. He needs to be tanky enough to transform. So, build items around that. Now, up next, we're going to be talking about Cuchulain's game plan. Very, very simple. Throw moves until you're blue in the face. That's it. Like, that's all you have to do. All you have to do is just keep throwing moves. There's only 2 things that I would recommend while using this character. Do not use Vent Anger, unless you absolutely, for sure, do not want to transform, and you're just trying to get a little bit of tick damage out. And not save your ult. Manage your meter while you're when you're doing transform. You need to know when you transform. This character is extremely easy. The only thing that's going to be difficult and something that's going to be that's going to take some time to get used to is when you're going to transform. You need to know how to manage that, because keep in mind, even if you hit 85 rage, you still need 3 seconds to transform. And in that 3 seconds time, you could die. So knowing when to go in to transform is vital to his game plan. However, once you get used to that, this character is dirt easy, and he has a huge, huge payoff. So let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. So all you're going to be doing is you're going to be walking up, throwing your 1. When you think they're going to throw another ability at you that you want to dodge, I will use it, is to flip. And then whether you're trying to kill confirm or you're trying to go in, use your ult. That's it. That's literally all there is to this character. Another thing I'd recommend doing, know when you're transformed, because keep in mind he has a root and he has a push. And if you push the enemy out of harm's way, that could obviously be an issue. So know how to position yourself so you can push them back towards your team. Or if you absolutely don't have a choice but to push them away, make sure you're absolutely going to get the kill or you're going to screw your team over. So that's the only real advice I have when it comes to using it. Now we're going to be going over the character's leveling path. Now, at level 1, you're going to get this first ability here. Right? Because this is going to be your go-to clear move. This will do more damage than this will. So always level this over everything else. Right? And since you're going to be using this character mostly in the solo lane, go a Warrior's Blessing. And for me, I like starting the Cudgel and going into the Sledge. This card is just way too good. I always recommend, if you have a character and you don't know who you're going to be going against or you're going to be building against, the Sledge is also always really good item, especially since it's really cheap to get the Sledge. That's $16.50. You're only going to be in lane for maybe like 3-4 minutes before you can get this card if you're not killing or lanes at a stalemate. Obviously, you're going to be getting a teleport glyph as well. Now, while you're leveling, you're actually going to get your third ability next, because at level 2, you want to transform. You will transform almost always when you hit level 2. So, having both your damaging abilities when you transform is extremely, extremely useful. So, always go from your 1 into your 3. And then obviously when you hit level 3, obviously when you hit level 3, you're going to be getting your second ability. Now, this isn't one of those characters where you would level up their ult last. This ult just does way too much damage for you not to upgrade this. So, upgrade this ability as you see fit. While you're leveling, you're going to be upgrading your 1 all the way to max as much as you can. And then next, you're going to be leveling up your third ability. Easier to go to damaging abilities. You'll not get extra movement speed for leveling this, and your Berserk form will always have this tick damage there anyway. Yes, the tick damage is nice, you know, when you level, but it's only going to do 30 damage every second, and it's not really all that useful. These two abilities will get you more damage and will get you more kills in the long. Always level these two abilities first, and then start putting points to your event Anger. Now, as far as a game plan goes, when it comes to the laning phase, you need to know how to proxy. So when you play Conquest and there's 2 towers, the minions you will know when the enemy's minions are passing their T2. Because when your minions spawn, their minions spawn at the same time. So what you want to do is sneak over to the enemy lines without being seen, obviously, and throw your first ability at the wave while it's coming up, and then walk back to your lane. Right? Because at level 1 and level 2, this character really doesn't have a lot of clear. So you need to be able to proxy the wave and get as much ahead. You need to get as ahead as possible when you are playing this character. But the second you hit level 3, and hell, with the second you hit level 4, you're basically going to be running that lane. So just keep that tactic in mind. And that about covers it for Chulain. Now, this character does have a lot of abilities, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to that and knowing when to use abilities. However, he's no Hell, and he's no Uller. Even though this is technically a dance switch character, he has so much that you don't really need to think about. And he does so much damage that he's pretty easy to pick up and just run with. However, building him wrong will hurt you a lot in the mid to late game. So I wanted to make this video to help all of y'all angry boys there. The last bit of advice I would have to give about this character is that you can get used to not having CC on this character. He doesn't need it. Right? One of my friends, he actually mains this character, and he wants this character to have CC because he feels like this character is mid tier, and that's just a blatant lie. No, character doesn't need to have CC to be stupid good. Right? And this character offers so much damage, so much abilities and utility, and the fact that he doesn't have a mana pool, I don't think you understand how good that is. Yamoja also doesn't have a mana pool, and look how dumb she is. This character is no exception. And that's basically it. This character is absolutely amazing. I recommend it to everybody who plays the solo lane, especially now, because the fact that he has anti-heal on his first ability keeps him in the meta. He's very, very strong right now. But if you have any other questions, don't forget to leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget, check out my Discord, check out my Twitch. I'll be live again. I will be live every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday at 12 and 9 p.m. CDT. So, without further ado, I'll catch y'all later.